If you like ducks, dogs, training, deer hunting, anything outdoors, then this is the podcast for you guys. This is the Flying V Podcast. I'm Thaddeus Bash. I'm your host for this beautiful ride, and I'm assisted by my co-host, Mr. Chang Moore Vang. You can tune in every week and join us as we talk about anything and everything under the moon that you guys want us to talk about. Some facts, some fiction, and a whole lot of opinions. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Let's hop into it.
What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. It's been a while. We took a week off. Chang Moore was out of town, so it is what it is, but we're back at it again, and it's been a busy 2 weeks since we've talked last, so I can't wait to hop into it. We're waiting for Chang to get back in here, but before we hop into everything, if you're new here, do me a favor, follow the podcast for me, guys. Show us a little bit of support. I'd greatly appreciate it. Share it with your friends, whatever. And also head over to the YouTube channel at Flying V Outdoors on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Check out our latest videos, guys. Again, I'd greatly appreciate the support. And you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at Flying V Outdoors. I'm always posting content on Instagram and Facebook as well. So we stay pretty busy on both of those platforms. So like I said, if you guys are new here or you aren't following or subscribed to any of them, go ahead, do us a favor and just show some support. It helps us out more than you guys know. And it helps boost the confidence a little bit. But I think we got Chang Moore in here now. So Chang, let's see.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Perfect. Yep. How you been, man?
Good. I just got back from North Carolina, our home roots.
What were you doing out there?
So I have family down there, so my cousin just got his doctor's degree. He's a doctor, so we went to go celebrate and had a little graduation party for him.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
Just got back today, right?
Yeah, this morning.
Yeah, good deal. Well, it's been a while. Like I was just telling everyone, we took a week off because you were doing your own thing, and I didn't feel like solo hosting it, but we're back and we're better.
Yeah.
I've had a busy 2 weeks. First off, we ran our first finish test and got our first finish pass. We did that at West Mississippi HRC. Before that, actually, we went to the Evan Graham Freddy King seminar in Searcy, Arkansas for a couple days. So that was fun. We're going to talk a little bit about that in this episode. But went to that, got home Saturday night from that after a 4-hour drive at about 11:30. Woke up at 3:30, hit the road, drove 3 hours to Mississippi to run our first finish test. Knocked it out, got a pass, did some training through the week. We went to run our second finish test Saturday at Four States HRC in Arkansas and rocked the water test. Absolutely nailed it. Land test ended up failing. So we failed on land. If you guys didn't watch any of those videos, they're on the channel. Go check them out. But we failed on land, and I went ahead and just scratched him for Sunday. So we didn't go back Sunday. And we're just going to spend the off-season training and getting ready for the fall. We plan on running several tests. So we couldn't have got his title this weekend anyway. So we're just going to wait till the fall and get his HRCH. But we're just going to keep training, getting ready for some master tests.
So tell us, how did the Freddy King thing go? Like, I know you follow him for his dog training and stuff, and give us a little background of who Freddy King is and what he does.
Yeah, for sure. So for those of you guys who don't know, Freddy King is a trainer up in Searcy, Arkansas. A pretty popular trainer at that. A lot of people have seen his YouTube videos, his Meat Dog series, and he's more of a teacher trainer than anything as far as professional training. He runs the Retriever Trainer, which is an online training program. It's a website, has literally hundreds of videos, and it also comes with a Facebook group. $60 a month, throw that plug in there, or $60 a year, excuse me, for the Retriever Trainer. So if you guys are a trainer, amateur, pro, whatever, this is the best $60 you'll spend. Join the Retriever Trainer. If nothing else, just to network with other people in the private Facebook group. The things that come with it are undoubtedly worth the money. But yeah, so like I said, Freddy King, mainly he just focuses on that, and he does take on some client dogs, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure the retriever trainer is his main thing. But he's a very knowledgeable trainer, and I like him a lot. Like you said, I follow some of his stuff, and I take bits and pieces from multiple programs. But he hosted a seminar at his grounds uh, with Evan Graham. If you guys don't know who Evan Graham is, he's a very accomplished and respected trainer, field trialer. And if you've ever heard of Smart Works, that's Evan Graham. So he's retired now as a trainer, but a very, very knowledgeable man. So he was there for 2 days, and we learned a good bit, actually. We drove up on, what day was that? We drove up Thursday night, stayed the night, and then went over to Freddy's place Friday. And basically we did like some whiteboard, like formal instruction for the first couple hours. And then we'd slide over to the field and show it in real life. So he'd have some people get their test dogs out and use their dogs to demonstrate his drills and whatnot. And it was pretty neat. And then Friday night, had a big crawfish boil there. Ate like 12 pounds of crawfish.
I love crawfish.
Yeah, I don't know many that don't, but smashed the crawfish. And then Saturday was pretty much the same thing. So I got to use Boone in a couple drills and stuff. I volunteered him. Not a lot of people wanted to volunteer their pups to run in the drills and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm always down to
Like, yeah, that's like
burn some energy out.
that, and you get to learn from a trainer that you follow who's gonna obviously like see your dog work.
Word, yeah. So it was all, really it was all like Evan Graham. Freddie
Mhm.
didn't actually do much, but we kind of see everything over and make sure everything logistically flowed nice. But everything, the whole teaching and everything was from Evan Graham. And if you've ever like heard him talk or watched any of his videos or met him, I've never met him. That was the first time, but I think he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but it's just his personality.
Yeah.
And so the first couple drills, like people were like jumping up and down to have their dogs run. And they'd get up there and he's critiquing. He doesn't care about the dog. He's critiquing you as a trainer and a handler. And I think he wore a lot of people down, like hurt their feelings. I've been in the Marine Corps for 8 years. Like I have pretty thick fucking skin.
Yeah.
But other people don't, especially if this is like their first time being around a pro trainer. Like all these people who came are the retriever trainer, they're TRT members. So I'd say 90% of them that were there are all at home trainers. It's like their first dog they've trained. They don't train in groups. They don't have friends who train. They don't, you know what I mean? Like they're not around pros. So this is they're them showcasing themselves as trainers and their dogs to like two renowned pros. So when you get up there and they're just like, and he's just like hammering on you,
Yeah.
I think it broke him down. And then a lot of like after the first like 2 drills, not a single person wanted to volunteer their dog for anything. Like I said, I took advantage of it and I threw Boone in several of them because why not? I think the first day we did cheating singles on one of Freddy's big tech ponds, and that was cool. And Boone did really, really well. So got some kind words from Mr. Graham there. And then we did a drill Saturday. It was like a miniature like land tee type deal. And Boone didn't do that great at it. I think it's just because it's so small and he was just not interested in it.
Yeah.
So I got critiqued on it a little bit. And then we did live flyers, a huge live flyer mark. It was like 150 yards, like triple entry. And Boone ate it up. He loved it. So I did get some videos.
That's more fun.
Yeah, I got some videos of all that. I was going to throw them together and post them up on the channel eventually. But it was fun. I learned some nice drills and concepts that I hadn't heard about before that I plan on using. So, and it was free.
Oh, okay. That's
Talk,
even the better thing is that
yeah,
the seminar was free.
talking about the retriever trainer. If you're a member of the retriever trainer, it was free to you. I don't even want to know how much an Evan Graham seminar would cost if you had to pay for it, but I'm assuming it's more than I would spend. It was free. The only thing we had to pay for was gas and a hotel, which gas isn't cheap right now. So
Yeah,
gas cost more than the hotel did. But
hearing you've been traveling these past weekends back and forth to Arkansas and was it Mississippi you said?
mm-hmm.
Man, you got some gas money there, buddy.
Man, you don't got to tell me. Like I said, we drove to Searcy, drove back, then I drove to Mississippi, drove back, then this weekend drove to Arkansas, drove back. So yeah, been putting some miles on the truck, and my bank account's reflecting that at the pump. So
Yeah.
I missed the days last year. This time last year, gas down here was like $1.50 a gallon.
Yeah, it's because that what is it? That gas shortage because not enough drivers
Yeah, whatever.
and people are freaking out. Like, speaking of about gas and stuff, we're just gonna off topic real quick. I was in North Carolina. I was like, well, shoot. I hope you guys have gas and stuff because like I'm not trying to push anything out. And North Carolina was where they had the shortage.
Yeah.
Everyone is pumping gas in trash bags. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah,
But yeah,
a lot has changed. A lot has happened since we last talked. God.
yeah.
And 2021, man. 2021 is off to one hell of a start. Everyone was like, man, 2020 is the worst year ever. But, like, we're on track for a shitty year. I mean, as a not as
Yeah.
just as a country, but as a world. I mean, I'm not going to get political, so we'll just move past this conversation.
Yeah, let's move past this.
But talking about the seminar, there's some drills we learned. So if you guys don't know what Evan Graham SmartWorks is, I would recommend looking into it. There's a book series on it, and there's also like a video series. You can go on YouTube and look them up too. I'm sure you could probably find a free PDF online of the book as well. But he's got some nice drills and concepts, and he's a very, like I said, he's a field trial guy, so he's a very formal training type of person, which I'm completely cool with. But one of his drills, I think the first one he showed us was called the 4-phase drill, and it's basically working on suction and blind work. So it's kind of around force to pile when you get out of force fetch. So you'll have a pile at 100 yards. And you'll send the dog on it, establish the pile, and then at 20 yards, you're going to have a bird boy throwing birds. So you'll come to the line. You've already established the pile. The bird boy at 20 yards will throw a bird. He'll be about 10 feet off of the line, throwing the bird left to right, so away from the line, right? He goes and picks the bird up, brings it back, and then you go back and send them to the back pile. So there's that suction created there from the bird boy, whatever. So then you go from 20 to 40 to 60 to 80 yards. Then you come back, and phase B of it is now the bird boy walks to where that bird was landing at 20 yards and turns and throws it towards the line. So it lands just off the line. So now the suction is a little tighter to the line, and you repeat 20, 40, 60, 80. Then the third phase, phase C, he goes back to his original spot and throws the bird over the line. So it's like under the arc. And then you do the same thing through your progressions. And then the last one, you throw it and it lands on the line. So there's a couple benefits to it in my mind. And like I said, I really would love to do it. And I know a couple people whose dogs have issues on blinds with their nose.
Right.
And wanting to start, like, catching old falls and this and that. You're teaching your dog not only to run past old falls, but to listen to you, especially on blind work, to ignore everything else.
Right.
Stop using your nose. I'm sending you where you're going. So if you use real ducks, you get all that scent off the line at first. That's a distraction. It's suction. So you're teaching your dogs to drive past that on the blinds. But what I also want to do, once we run through it is I would like to come back and start at phase A again and run it as a poison bird setup. So throw the bird, no off the bird, and then line up, run into the back pile, come back, pick up the bird. I love poison birds. And talking about poison birds, if you watch the video from our last test, the water series, first time I've ever seen a poison bird in a test, but had a poison bird. Pretty neat, actually. And it ate a lot of dogs up. So anyone who trains, like if you don't train poison birds, if you don't know what a poison bird is, first of all, it's a bird that's thrown and you're told not to pick it up. So it's a no bird. No. You don't pick it up at all. So they'll throw it and they'll tell you it's a poison bird. Don't pick that bird up. You got to pick up this or whatever. So in this case, we had 2 wingers on the left, 1 on the right, and the blind was on the left down the shore past the 2 wingers. So you come to the line, they throw the bird on the right, and it lands literally 10 yards in front of you in the water, just a big splash. And you have to know off of that, go to your left, and run down the shore to the blind. Then come back with the blind, and then they'll throw the other 2 marks. You shoot your other 2 marks. Then you can pick up all 3 birds. So it was a pretty badass setup. But like I said, some people don't train poison birds, and it really ate those dogs up. You could tell, because it messes with them. Not only,
Right.
It's a very tempting breaking bird to have a big splash in your face at 10 yards. I mean, like, if that was the only mark, it's still just tempting. Even if you could pick it up, a lot of dogs wanted to jump on that sucker. And then you have that suction of that bird being there, and you're trying to run a blind, and it was just weird, and it ate them up. So we're kind of drifting on the topic of poison birds, but if you don't train them, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You should be. Not only that, they help with memory, they help with steadiness. Because your dog will get in this habit of picking up every bird. So if your dog, that gets them more amped up when they see that bird, they're like, oh, I'm going to go pick it. And that's what creates breaking, or one of the things that can create breaking. You run poison birds, they learn that not every bird that they mark, they're going to pick up right away. So
Right.
So it helps steady out a dog a lot.
It's a must-have teachable lesson to these dogs, huh?
I agree. Yeah. I mean, we run a lot of poison bird setups, and they help. Yeah.
Boone's good with it. Then he's got it.
Yeah. So we nailed that. The land is what ate us up.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched the video.
Man, it sucks too. I was so confident. I was telling a couple of my buddies there, like, if we can get past the water clean,
yeah,
I'm not worried about this test at all. The land was it was a good setup, both water and land. I told Madison, like on the phone, while we were there, I was like, hey, if we get a ribbon today, like, he earned that shit. I mean, that was a good test. All the dogs that did pass, I mean, they're good dogs. And not saying Boone's not a good dog, he's a damn good dog, but it just wasn't our day. We it literally went left to right. Longest bird came out first at about 130 yards. Middle bird came out 70 yards maybe. And then the bird on the right, the last bird, came out at like 35 yards. So he picks up the go bird. And then my plan was to go the short bird and then run that middle bird that was like 70 yards and then send him on the long one. I had a feeling everyone had to handle on that long one pretty much from what I watched in the morning. So I was like, we're going to pick that one up last.
Mm-hmm.
That way, if I have to handle, it's no big deal. So that was my plan. Things don't always go as planned. I like to trust Boone. So he came back to heel. And when he came back, if you watch the video, he just dug his paws in and got ready to run on that long bird, like really locked in on it. And I was like, man, like, if this is the one you want, I mean, you could tell he was about to haul ass too. Like, he knew it was way out there. I was like, okay. I mean, if he's marked it that good and he's that confident, I'm gonna send him on this one. And then at that point, I was feeling really good. It's like, man, if he picks this up, we're butter.
Yeah.
So I sent him, and he hunted. I mean, he had to run over it at least like 3 or 4 times. If you listen to the commentary in the video, you can hear the judges and stuff being like, oh, 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 because he just kept running right over it. And,
Yeah.
So he started drifting back towards that middle bird in his hunt. And you can hear the judge say, don't let him pick that other bird up. And that's when I hit the whistle and had to handle him back to the original bird. We got him to it. He picked it up. And then when I sent him on that third bird, he got about 30 yards away. And you could tell when I was heeling him to get him, asking him, where's your bird? Where's your bird? He had no idea where to go. And he got about 30 yards and turned around and sat down and looked at me. That's why I knew it was over. I mean, I can't handle him at that point. I already burnt my handle for the day. So there was nothing I could do. And I think the problem with it is I had to handle him away from the bird that I was trying to send him to. So since I had to handle him on that last mark, I think it really ate with him, and he didn't know what I wanted him to do. So,
But this is a teachable moment and lesson, right?
For sure, yeah.
And
that's why I went ahead and scratched him Sunday.
Mm-hmm. But so these field trials you do in hunt test, do you like practice them at like when you train and stuff too, or is this just like you're following a program and that's it?
Yes and no. We do similar setups. Not often though. I don't run multiple marks often, maybe once a week at that. But 90% of our training is singles.
Okay.
Short singles, long singles, poison birds. I mean, whatever we're doing, we run a lot of singles. If I do run a triple or 3 marks at a time, I will teach it as singles. And then, so we'll run each bird as a single and then come back and run it as a triple.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Just to help with his confidence and his memory.
Right.
But I don't. If you do multiples too much, you'll notice dogs that swing their head a lot, and they don't really lock in on their mark. So, if you ever go to a test and watch a test, you'll see some dogs as soon as that first bird is shot, they automatically switch and start looking for the next winger.
Oh yeah.
Because they run a lot of multiples. So the problem with that is they don't always get a good mark.
Right.
So if you take that same dog and you're running singles or something, like a long single, they're gonna get ate up by that fucking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fact because they're gonna get a half-ass mark on it and start looking around for the next one, and then they're just gonna get tore up by it. And the problem too is, dogs who run a lot of these tests, they get very wise to holding blinds and winger hides, and they start marking off of those hides, and it can create some problems. So today, I mean, I decided, we're going to stop our blind work and handling work for about a week or so, 2 weeks, and just work on marking drills, get his confidence back up, work on his memory. So today I set all 3 of my wingers up at about 130 yards, and actually I think it was 140 yards. Whatever, you get the point.
Yeah.
Set them all up, throwing the exact same throw, and threw the first one and sent him. And basically, I had them all 3 set up the same way. That way, if there were any issues or he started wandering or getting lost, I could just throw the next one and kind of guide him back to it, since I don't have anyone out there to help him in the field. Just trying to boost his confidence up. This is a real shortcut, 3-inch white bumpers, but he picked the first one up, nailed it. Threw the second one, same thing, straight line to it. Third one, straight line to it. So then we switched it up and did a wide drill, marking drill, kind of a wide drill. It was more like I don't know. I had 2 wingers, like all 3 wingers out there. We were about 80 yards, so I had one throwing all in the same spot. One throwing right to left, one throwing left to right, and one threw straight at us. And for anyone listening, it's a really, really good drill to improve your spot marking. And by that, I mean locking in on a specific spot and driving straight to it when they mark it. Not just marking the area, but really marking that fall. Especially when you start changing the angles of the throws. You may not think that a throw that's a left angle back and just right to left throw would make a difference, but it does. It'll eat a dog up all day. A left angled in and a left angled back, two completely different throws. They may only be like 10 yards, 15 yards apart, but they'll eat a dog up.
Right.
And if they haven't seen those, if they see them in a test, if they see a back throw and, they mark it like it was thrown inward, or they just mark the area, they're going to hit that wall. It's like a barrier that they're going to hit. And then they're going to break down. They're going to start hunting back towards you. And they're never actually going to push out there. So that's what the Y drills and those spot marking drills really do. It teaches them to really mark the spot it falls and not the area. So that's what we did, and then called it a day and brought it home. So
Yeah, I mean, I do know the emphasis of marking. Like, the dog's got to know how to mark really well. But
yeah,
it's up to the time that you put into it too.
Yeah, I've had the conversation with several people the last week or so who've had issues. Like, the biggest thing with training and just anything in general is consistency. 99% of the dog's problems are not the dog's problems. It's your problem.
It really is.
I mean, you can't blame a dog for doing something that he doesn't know how to do.
Exactly.
You can't blame a dog for learning something that you didn't correct him on, or developing habits that you didn't fix. I mean, it's nature. It's living nature. Humans do it too. If you find something you can do that's easier and you get away with it, you're going to keep doing it.
Yep.
So if your dog starts breaking and you let him break, he's going to keep breaking and it's going to get worse. It's life. Why sit still when I could just go get it whenever I want to?
Yeah. So, you've got a pretty experienced dog then. And while Boone doesn't have anyone really to play with but you and Maddie, right? Do you recommend your dog to be separated, as a working dog, to be separated from your family or your siblings? For example, they're little kids, right? So they love playing with dogs, or they love playing. Do you think it makes a difference when they throw a bumper out there for them? Because they'll they'll break for sure.
Yeah, I
Because
think it
they know it's
depends.
play. But if the dog has an on and off switch, then it's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
So, like my dog, for example, like Boone, I'd have no problem with that. But he knows the difference between when I'm handling him
Right.
and when a little kid is handling him. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I guess it just depends on the dog. I think it depends a lot on the age too. But no, I don't. I think every dog should be encouraged and incorporated into a family and get plenty of
Right.
playtime. I mean, we play all the time. The only thing we don't do is like tug of war.
Yeah, that's definitely something you don't want to do.
Yeah, we used to with his rope. He loves fucking pole ropes, but we had to stop doing it because it creates issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has plenty of toys. I mean, hell, we'll sit on the couch and I'll throw his Kong all around the living room, and he loves to chase tennis balls, everything. So I mean,
Yeah.
and I haven't seen a direct reflection in the field of
Okay.
me throwing it like that. I also throw him plenty of fun bumpers where I just up and chuck it and let him run and pick it up. And I think if you do too much of that, it can create steadiness issues. But again, you need a dog that you need to make that line very clear and make sure your dog understands where that line is.
Right.
And if they cross it or they get too close to it, you correct them.
Right.
Right? That's why we train dogs. That's why we have collar conditioned dogs. That's why we have force fetch dogs.
Right.
That's why we have healing sticks. That's why we have whistles. That's why we have all these tools. Is to make corrections when corrections are due. Once you do it enough, it's second nature. And like you said, they develop that on off switch of, okay, well, we're in
Right.
business, we're playing. So to answer your question, yeah, I'm not that worried about it, honestly.
Okay. Because
Depending on the dog.
right. Because you can have a really great dog and they'll just go with a family for the week and they'll just end up being a totally different dog because they're like, oh, this lifestyle is better. Or
Yeah.
I'd rather go do this instead.
Well,
Lay on the couch.
and you know, Boone is this. Even if we took like a week or so off of training and I just let him lounge around the house and do whatever he wants without any training, then he would be the same way. You'd see some regress in his training. But I had this conversation with a buddy last week. We were helping or working with his dog who had a breaking issue. And once you set a standard with anything, you have to enforce it at all times. Because, like I said, if you give any leeway at all, they're going to take that and they're going to make that habit.
Right.
And once you have a habitual dog, it is way harder to break it. You know what I mean?
Right.
The longer it happens, the worse it gets. So once you make that standard, you enforce that standard. So anytime I take him out, I make him sit. I open the door. He sits next to me. He heels next to me out the door, and he heels next to me until I tell him to go potty, and then he can run around and piss and whatever.
Right.
And then same thing when we come back. Heel. You heel. You sit. You wait for me to open the door, and then we walk in together. I mean,
It's like creating a routine.
Yeah. So you don't just let them do whatever they want when they're at home, and then expect perfect results in the field.
Right.
So that's where a lot of people think that having a family dog and having a test or trial dog or whatever creates issues. But the issue, again, like I said, 99% of your issues are not the dog's fault. It's your fault. I mean,
right.
The problem is you got to look in the mirror and say, okay, well, I'm doing this, so I need to undo this. You got to train yourself just like you train your dog. I mean, it's easier said than done, but
right.
You can learn from mistakes that we've made. That's why I preach it to everyone now, is because I've made the same mistakes, and they are a pain in the ass to fix. So when I give people advice on like training and what you should and shouldn't do, like it's I know from experience. Like I've been
right.
up that fucking hill and it sucks. But if you do it like this, you don't have to worry about it, and it'll be a breeze. But
and that's why you just buy a started dog, or you just like buy a pro dog. Spend the money, buy one.
Not even.
I'm just kidding.
You just gotta, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
gotta be
no,
consistent.
I gotcha. Yeah, consistency is the main key of having a great dog.
Even if you buy a pro dog, you still gotta work it
for sure.
consistently. Otherwise, it'll just regress, and then you'll just be pissed off. You'll be like, oh, my dog can't do this and this and this anymore. He's stupid.
Like, there goes 10 grand down the drain.
Yeah, no, he's not stupid. You're just lazy. Like, and training your own dog's not difficult for anyone who wants to train their dog. Like, you can do it. Anyone can do it. It just takes consistency. It takes patience. And
yes.
and you gotta teach yourself. You gotta actually like be willing to read and listen and take notes.
Yep.
Like you gotta be active. If you get a new puppy and you want to train it, you're gonna spend at least 20 times more teaching yourself than you are teaching that dog. Guaranteed.
And you're definitely gonna test your own patience and your with your frustrating self too.
Without a doubt, yeah. Like I still get very frustrated, but I mean,
and don't take it out on the dog, because like you said, it's not the dog's fault.
Well, 99% of the time.
Yeah.
There is that 1%, though. where Boone is just fucking stupid. But they have off days. I mean, it's just like any human being on Earth. Like, you have an off day. You have a day where you just can't do shit right.
Right.
I mean, it happens. It happens to me all the time. I mean, and when the dog's like that, whatever, cool. Throw a couple fun bumpers, throw them on the truck, and go home. You're not going to get anything productive out of that. But training your dog to a started level takes 15, 20 minutes a day. Consistently.
Right.
That's really it. Now, once you get to where we're at, I miss those 20-minute training sessions. Like, you got to make a schedule once you get up there. But
that's why
it's
I
worth
just
it.
stick to upland and non-test field trials.
Once you run your first test, you'll run.
All I need is a meat dog.
Yeah, you say that.
No, until I see your other dogs, I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool though.
I mean, it is, and it's for me. One, it feels great. Like, you can train your dog, and they look good, but it's good to go and run tests and be recognized for all the work you put in, right? I mean,
Right.
training is a very rewarding thing on its own, but to be able to say, well, we got this title, a measurable thing, to say,
Right.
we're actually, we're pretty fucking good. Like, we know what we're doing.
Right.
And everyone says, okay, well, oh, my dog's great, my dog's this, my dog's that, my dog is this level, whatever. Okay, well, like, that's what the beautiful thing about hunt tests is. Like, well, what level is your dog at? What can you show that your dog can consistently do? Because it's not just a one-time thing. You got to do it over multiple tests, different setups, different days. I mean, it's, that's a consistent pattern. So if you say, well, I have an HRCH, a finish level dog, that's saying something. And a lot of people overlook that and they're like, oh, that's not a big deal. To me, it is. I think it's a big deal.
Right.
Like, I teared up a little bit when we got our first finish pass.
Well, good for you guys. Congrats to you and Boone, by the way.
I was also, like, I was like 3 hours of sleep and I was nervous as hell. So I think like the little tear that rolled out was just of like relief. Like, oh, we're finally done. Now I can drive 3 hours home. But yeah, we just got in a rabbit hole and talked about everything but what we were going to talk about.
I don't even know.
We're good at that, though. So.
Yeah.
But that's going to wrap it up, guys. I mean, hey, I think it was a good one. I think we provided some pretty valuable information.
We
if
just
you care about dogs.
Yeah, we just like to shoot the shit and go along with it.
Yeah, I mean, if you care about dogs, you should have learned something from it. If you don't have a dog, you probably left this podcast about 30 minutes ago. But it is all right, what it folks. Is.
It was fun.
It was. And we'll be back next week, guys. And next episode is going to be a fun episode. You're not going to want to miss it, okay? Like I said at the beginning of this, though, if you're not fucking subscribed to YouTube, go to YouTube, type in Flying V Outdoors, hit the subscribe button, watch a couple of the videos, give us a thumbs up, head over to Instagram, follow me at Flying V Outdoors, send me a message, say, hey, I found you on the podcast. You guys are awesome. Hype me up a little bit. Make me feel good about myself. Give me an attaboy. You can also go to Facebook and TikTok. Flying V Outdoors. Everything's Flying V Outdoors, except for the email. If you ever need to email me, it's Flying V Outdoor, no S, because that's the way we roll. I appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
All right, y'all. Get bad.